She thought a burger receipt would never talk. She was wrong. My wife lectured me for 5 years about the ethics of eating a slice of cheese. And yet, while I was 300 miles away in a beige hotel room, my own credit card bought her boyfriend a double bacon cheeseburger and a box of condoms. She didn't know I could see every single order in real time. She didn't know I was watching the little delivery car icon crawl toward my own front door. By the time I got home, I didn't need to ask a single question. I already had the receipts. Literally. If you've ever had that sick, sinking feeling that something is wrong, and then found the one piece of evidence that confirms it beyond any doubt, you know exactly the feeling I'm about to describe. This is a story about betrayal hiding behind a smoothie and a meat is murder t-shirt, and about a quiet, devastating kind of revenge that didn't need a single raised voice. Hit like, subscribe, and settle in, because this one gets good. My name doesn't matter for this story, so let's just call me Mark. I've been married to Jenna for 6 years. On paper, we were the couple everyone secretly envied. She ran a small online store selling handmade vegan skincare products. I worked in logistics, which meant I traveled for conferences and seminars a few times a year, usually forgettable, fluorescent lit affairs in cities I'd never choose to visit on purpose. Jenna's veganism wasn't just a diet, it was a pulpit. 5 years earlier, she'd watched a documentary, had what she called an awakening, and never looked back. She didn't just avoid meat, she performed the avoidance. Dinner parties became TED Talks. If I ordered a burger at a restaurant, she'd sigh the way a disappointed teacher sighs at a student who didn't do the reading. To save money, we shared one DoorDash account. Same login, same card on file, same order history sitting there for both of us to see if we ever bothered to look. Neither of us ever had a reason to look. Until Tuesday. I was in my hotel room, half watching some rerun with the sound off, feeling that particular flavor of loneliness that only a business trip hotel room can produce. At Salwe Shidan Wersalven, my phone buzzed. "Your order is approaching." I sat up. I hadn't ordered anything. My stomach did a small, confused flip, the kind you feel a half second before your brain catches up to what's actually wrong. I opened the app. 2 double bacon cheeseburgers, an extra large fry, a dairy milkshake. I stared at it the way you stare at a word that suddenly looks misspelled even though you've written it 1,000 times. For a woman who once made our next-door neighbor cry at a barbecue by describing what happens inside a slaughterhouse, this made no sense. Then, 5 minutes later, a second buzz. A 24-hour pharmacy 3 blocks from our house. A box of condoms. 2 bottles of blue Gatorade. I remember the exact sensation in my chest. Not the movie version of heartbreak. Not tears, not a scream. Something colder. My jaw locked. I watched the little car icon crawl down our street in real time, like watching a crime happen in slow motion from behind bulletproof glass. I didn't call her. What would I even say? I already knew the answer. I sat on the edge of that stiff hotel bed for a long time. The GPS icon reached our house. The order status flipped to delivered. I watched it happen like a scoreboard ticking over. Except there was no way to feel like I was winning. Here's the part that surprised me most. More than the sting, more than the humiliation, it was the audacity. Not just that she was cheating. People cheat. It's ugly, but it happens. I could have almost understood some slow drift. Some emotional affair that spiraled out of control. But this was different. This was casual. This was a woman ordering munchies for her affair on my dime, using my hard-earned money to buy the condoms she'd used behind my back in my own bed. It wasn't heartbreak I felt first, it was contempt. She hadn't even bothered to hide it well. She assumed I was too far away, too tired, too trusting to ever check. That's the part that changed something in me. Not the betrayal itself, the laziness of it. The assumption that I was too small a threat to even plan around. I didn't sleep much that night. I lay there running through 6 years of memories, recoloring all of them with this new information, like pouring ink into clear water and watching it spread into everything. The seminar ended Thursday. I drove the 300 miles home in near total silence. Radio off, hands steady on the wheel. I want to be honest with you. I wasn't plotting some elaborate scheme. I was doing something quieter and far more effective. I was deciding how I wanted her to feel the exact moment I already felt in that hotel room. Not sad, not screamed at, just caught. Undeniably, irreversibly caught. I pulled into the driveway a little after 6 in the evening. Her car was there. The porch light was already on, warm and yellow, like nothing in the world was wrong. I walked inside, and there she was, standing in the kitchen in her meat is murder t-shirt, sipping a green smoothie through a metal straw, scrolling her phone like it was any other Thursday. "Hey babe, how's the drive?" she said, not even looking up. "Fine," I said. "Long." She smiled and went back to her phone. I didn't yell, I didn't accuse. I walked into the living room, sat down on the couch, and picked up the remote for our smart TV. I opened the screen mirroring app on my phone. "What are you doing?" she asked, following me in, still holding that smoothie like a shield. "Just want to show you something," I said. The order history came up on the 60-inch screen in full, humiliating detail. 2 double bacon cheeseburgers, extra large fries, a dairy milkshake, timestamped 10:52 p.m., delivered to our address. Right below it, the pharmacy order. Condoms. 2 Gatorades. Timestamped soured Shidant Wuscherbiven. I watched her face in the blue light of the TV. I watched the exact moment her mouth opened and then closed again, because there was nothing left to say. The smoothie in her hand tilted just slightly, a thin green drip running down the side of the glass and onto her fingers. She didn't even notice. "Mark, I can explain." "Explain what?" I said, my voice steadier than I expected. "That you're vegan, except when you're not? Or that you used my card to fund it?" She sat down slowly, like her legs had made the decision without asking her brain first. The silence in that room was the loudest sound I have ever heard in my life. Louder than any fight we'd ever had. There was nothing to argue because the receipt didn't lie, didn't exaggerate, didn't need me to raise my voice to make its point. I let the silence sit there for a full minute. I let her stew in the specific, unbearable discomfort of being caught not by an accusation, but by data. Cold, time-stamped, undeniable data. Then I stood up, picked my phone back off the TV, and said 4 words. "I already called Rob." Rob was our accountant, also the guy who was going to help me quietly separate every joint account, every card, every subscription tied to both our names, starting first thing in the morning. Her face went through about 4 emotions in 10 seconds. Panic, anger, forced composure, and finally, something that looked a lot like real shame. That was the moment something loosened in my chest for the first time since that hotel room. Not happiness, not yet, just relief. The relief of finally not being the only one in the room who knew the truth. Looking back, the whole thing still makes me laugh a little, in a bitter kind of way. She could have hidden almost anything from me, but she couldn't hide a burger. In the end, it wasn't some grand betrayal that undid her. It was a chicken sandwich's worth of carelessness. Sometimes karma doesn't need help. It just needs an app that sends notifications. If this story hit you right in the chest, smash that like button and drop a comment below. What's the smallest, dumbest little detail that ever exposed someone's biggest lie? I read every single one. And if you want more stories like this, hit subscribe. This channel is just getting started.